Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Beat the Backlog vlog number 2, where I, in a very disorganized fashion, attempt to get the number of pieces of paper in this jar from up here to down here. If you missed Beat the Backlog vlog number 1, then you may not already know that I found out recently that I have over 230 books on my physical / Kindle TBR that I haven't read yet, which is a lot. So I created my Beat the Backlog vlog series, which I'm hoping turns into a series rather than another sort of failed series that I have attempted on this channel, where I have printed off the name of every single book that I own and put it in this jar because I can't be trusted to pick what I want to read next because I'll just reread things that I already know that I love. And I randomly select a random number of books from this jar per video and we read them together. Let's pick our first book from the jar. Just so you know, I'm not planning to buy many books in the next year, but when I do buy books, I shuffle things around, pour it out, put it back in so that there's always a sort of flow of new and old books at the top and bottom of this jar. So let's pick a book, and it's gonna be this one, whatever this is. It is A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. Hopefully you can see that. If you can't, you're just gonna have to trust me. Okay, I have found out that I've already read that book. Gonna have to pick out another book, which is a shame because I was really feeling like a smutty, you know, no cares given romance. But anyway, we've got this one and I have picked out The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is completely not the season for this kind of book. Hopefully you can see what that says. If not, just trust me. We're gonna be reading a Halloween romance in December. I'm gonna go get that book and I'll be back with you in a second to talk about what it's about. Okay, I'm back. I've got the book, The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, Never Mix Vodka and Witchcraft. I definitely kind of got my wish, I guess, in a sort of carefree, no cares given romance, but it's not quite as smutty as I kind of wanted it to be. But anyway, it says, Vivian Jones handled the biggest breakup of her life the way that any witch would. Vodka, bubble baths, and a curse on her ex. That was 9 years ago. Now, Reese Penhallow, descendant of the town's founders, breaker of hearts, and still irritatingly gorgeous, is back. Reese has returned to the quaint town of Graves Glen to recharge the ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall festival. But when his every move results in calamity, Vivi realizes that hexing her ex might not have been so harmless after all. As the curse starts to affect the magic of the town, resulting in murderous wind-up toys, an outraged ghost, and a surprisingly talkative cat, Vivi and Reese must put their personal feelings aside and work together to break the curse and save not just the town, but also Reese's life. It sounds fun and funny, as well as a romantic bit of an enemies to lovers situation. I guess a bit of a second chance romance as well, so super keen for that. I don't have any plans tonight, so I'll probably watch an episode of my new favorite TV show, 911, and then I'll get straight into The Ex-Hex, and I can talk to you about my feelings about that in a little bit when I have an update. So I'll see you in a bit.
Myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs.
Okay, it is about just over an hour later since I started this vlog, and I am about 100 pages into The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, and I am having such a good time. This book is so much fun. Already in the first like 30 pages of the read, I was like, okay, so we've got a hero who is pining for the woman that broke up with him for his own screw-ups 9 years in the past, and I am here for it. Yes, thank you. I am here for a hero that is just pining after the heroine, and the heroine's like, bitch, I don't need you. I need some more of that in romance because I love it. I love a whole guy falls first or guy stayed fallen while the girl was like, bye. If you can't tell, I've had a couple glasses of wine. I'm also loving the language in this book. It's just really comical, and so much about this book is just quirky and fun, and I'm just enjoying the good-humored, sort of quirky and fun nature of this read. Like, you can tell the relationship between the main female character Vivienne and her siblings is just, or cousins I think they actually are, is just like fun and lighthearted, and they're all kind of joking around, and they call this guy dickbag. And then you can tell the relationship with the male character Rhys and his brothers is a little bit more strained. They're a bit more of a sort of like high society kind of family that doesn't have actually very good bonds with each other, but he's super like carefree and chill. Apparently that's his vibe, though I'm not getting much of a sense of that carefree chill nature, because at the moment he's just like thoroughly pining after Vivienne, and I am here for it. I'm so here for it. I just very, very briefly wanted to come in here to say that I'm having such a fun time. This is such an entertaining read. The language is so humorous, the relationships are already so sparky, and the interactions between the main male character and the main female character are already starting up some tension. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling because this book is exactly my kind of humor and I just want to get back into reading it. But as for my plans for this evening, I'm gonna put down the book for a little bit. I know, how could I when I'm enjoying it this much, but I'm gonna put it down for a little bit because I have this itch to do some organizing right now, and I know that there is a shelf in my bedroom that currently has like all of my old eyeshadow palettes on it, and I want to go through them, see what's still viable and alive, get rid of what's not, and put all of that makeup where it should be, which is in the bathroom. But in order to do that, I need to clear out one of the drawers in the bathroom, which is currently just littered with old broken makeup. There's a bit of organizing that needs to happen tonight, and I really want to get that done, because despite the fact that it's 9:40 p.m, I have a random burst of energy and a new pair of wireless headphones to test out. I'm going to see you tomorrow morning, most likely, with my next update for the X-Hex, and maybe even another drawer from this here jar, depending on how quickly I finish this book tonight. But it's already got me absolutely reeling and loving it, so might be a one-day read, who knows. I'm gonna go do everything I said I was gonna do. See you in a bit. Hello, hello. Sorry the lighting is a little bit blue. It's dark outside, so I've got a yellow light coming from this side, and then I've got the slightly darkening blue light coming from the front, and it's resulting in this weird purpley kind of mess on my face. But anyway, I just wanted to update you guys to say I have finished The X-Hex by Erin Sterling, and I gave this book 4 stars. I had so much fun with this book. I'm not the person who usually picks up on writing very often in stories. I don't tend to pay a lot of attention to it. I focus more on, you know, the characters and the plot and that sort of thing, but the writing in this really had me laughing, giggling, cackling, all of the above. Like, the colloquialisms of all the characters I thought were hilarious. There was one where the women would say Rhiannon's tits when something went wrong, and there was another one where Rhys would say St. Bugie's balls when things wouldn't go his way, so I thought that was hilarious. It wasn't overused as well. I also thought it was written in a kind of conversational way, like, not conversational as in like, you know, string of conscience or train of conscience or whatever it is, but more like you could genuinely imagine people saying and thinking the things that these characters were saying and thinking. They felt real and quirky and fun and funny, and the comedic element of the characters really translated through to their own internal monologues and their descriptions of the areas they were in. It was just all around kind of fun and light and funny. I will say that I did get confused a little bit sometimes by the switching back and forth between POVs in the middle of chapters, but I think that was more because it wasn't signposted, so it would happen, I'd be like, oh shit, I'm in someone else's head now, and I had to like reframe my mind about who had just been speaking. But I did enjoy that it swapped back and forth between those POVs, because it meant that in any given moment you kind of got 2 sides of the story. As for the characters themselves, I thought Rhys and Vivi were quirky and fun. I thought their romance was really well developed. It was more of a slow burn than I was expecting, but there were enough payoffs throughout the story that by the time that big payoff came, I was still really invested. I don't think it was as sexy or spicy necessarily as some of the language kind of suggested that it was going to be, because it was quite, you know, out there with some of its language. I thought the disastrous magic plot was really entertaining. All the calamity and disaster and everything that they found themselves in after this curse was placed on Rhys was just really funny. I will say though, the big sort of, not plot twist I guess, but kind of twist at the end of the story was a little bit predictable from the moment that Vivi kind of stepped into the cave at the beginning of the book. At least it was for me. All in all, I had a really fun time with this book. It was an entertaining read. It's definitely a spooky season read, but I'm glad I read it now because it just put me in such a good mood. 4 stars to the X-Hex, which means it is time to pick another book. So let's pull something from lower down. Let's get whatever is on this piece of paper. Oh, it's on striped paper, which means I wrote it myself, and it is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I'm gonna go get that. It is on my Kindle, and I'll tell you what it's about in 2 seconds. Okay, now we have phone light on me too, which is just making it even worse. I'm gonna try and hold my phone in a place where it doesn't look horrific. So Hello Stranger, it says, love isn't blind, it's just a little blurry. Sadie Montgomery never saw what was coming, literally. 1 minute she's celebrating the biggest achievement of her life, placing as a finalist in the North American Portrait Society competition. The next she's lying in a hospital bed diagnosed with a probably temporary condition known as face blindness. She can see, but every face she looks at is now a jumbled puzzle of disconnected features. Imagine trying to read a book upside down and in another language. This is Sadie's new reality with every face she sees, but as she struggles to cope, hang on to her artistic dream, work through major family issues, and take care of her beloved dog Peanut, she falls into love, lust, a temporary obsession to distract from the real problems in her life, with not one man but 2 very different ones. The timing couldn't be worse. If only her life were a little more in focus, Sadie might be able to find her way, but perceiving anything clearly right now seems impossible. Even though there are things we can only find when we aren't looking, and there are people who show up when we least expect them, and there are always other ways of seeing. I know I've just read that to you, but I don't think I took any of that in, so this book is going to be a complete mystery to me. My camera's running out of battery, so I'm just going to say I'm going to get started on this book now. I have no plans this evening. It is Friday evening and I start work on Wednesday next week, so that's probably going to be around the time that I finish this vlog, so I want to get a couple books in. It seems to be a romance themed vlog, which I'm enjoying, so yeah, I'm gonna go pick up that book and I'll update you when I've read a little bit of it.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out.
Hey, please excuse the mess that is my hair right now. I am trying to air dry it today because it has felt just so damaged and dry recently. I think because I've been using a new shampoo that's a purple shampoo because I dye my hair and I notice it gets brassy really quickly and I want to tone that down. But I did forget to buy the conditioner that goes with the purple shampoo, so that means that my hair has just been feeling really dehydrated and damaged, so I just need to let it be. So you may have noticed in the B-roll that I just played that we did another draw last night. And you might be wondering, well, Beth, you did no check-ins of Hello Stranger, so how did you do another draw so quickly? And the answer is, I read 57 pages of that book and gave up because I figured out 57 pages in that a guy in the story who had done some severe fat shaming in the story was actually going to be a love interest. And I was like, I can't read a book where they try and make him a good person. And also, I can't read a love triangle book where one of the people in the love triangle is clearly a dickhead who I'm never going to root for, because what if that's the guy that she ends up with? I don't want to be here for that. I gave up on the book in protest against that, and I did another draw and ended up with, you will have seen, a double whammy, which is basically if there is a book where I want to read the first book and like a number of other books in this series, I'll put them on one string of paper because I'm chronically known for reading the first book and then waiting forever and ever and ever before I pick up the second book, and then needing to reread the first book because I've forgotten everything that happened. So this is my way of combating that. But anyway, I picked up King of Battle and Blood and Queen of Myth and Monsters. There might be another book in this series, but I don't own it yet, so these are the two that I'm going to be reading. As for King of Battle and Blood, I'll just read you the blurb because I am a fair way into it, but for some reason my brain's not turning on, so I can't recite what it's about. And it said, Isolde de Lara considers her wedding day to be her death day. To end a years-long war and protect the people of her kingdom, she is to marry the vampire king, Adrian Alexander Vasiliev, and kill him. But her assassination attempt is thwarted, and Adrian warns that if Isolde tries to kill him again, he will raise her as the undead. Faced with the possibility of becoming the thing she hates the most, Isolde seeks other ways to defy him and survive the violence and political machinations of Adrian's brutal vampire court. Except it isn't the court she ends up fearing the most, it's Adrian and her intense attraction to him. Wrapped up in mystery and a past he refuses to discuss, Adrian nevertheless starts to become less of a monster to Isolde. Despite their undeniable chemistry, Isolde can't help but wonder why the king, fierce, complicated, ambitious, and at times inexplicably tender, chose her as consort. The answer will shatter her world. I won't lie, I am enjoying this book so far, but it's one of those ones where you really just have to suspend belief. Like you just can't take it too seriously, because in all of like the first 5 pages or so of the book, she's already having some me time, let's just say. It's obviously explicit sort of on page because that's just the kind of book this is. Her attraction to this vampire king is not just intense, it is immediate. So it jumps straight in, and the female main character just does not care about being open about her own sexual appetite and all that sort of thing, and making critiques about people she's been with before. It really goes all into it straight from the beginning. So it's that kind of book, and I feel like it's one of those ones where you just have to be there along for the ride, not take it too seriously, and just hope you come out of it alive. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it. There is a little bit of world building in the sense that there's a war going on between the vampires and I think the humans in this world, and a number of the other kingdoms have succumbed to the vampires, and this particular king, who is the father of Isolde, is like, well, I don't want to fight you because all my people will die because I've seen what's happened to the other kingdoms, so I'm gonna surrender, and that's how she ends up married to Adrian. So there is a little bit of world building going on, but don't get me wrong, it's definitely very, very focused on the relationship between Isolde and previous men in her life, and then Isolde and Adrian, as that sort of kicks off pretty instantly. I'm 45 pages in physically, but I've been listening to it on the audiobook while I was at the gym this morning, so I'm probably about 100 pages in now, and it's entertaining. There's some new powers being discovered, and I'm having a good time. So I'm gonna get back to reading. I might go to Waterstones today just to sit in their cafe and have a drink and maybe a little bit of cake and read there, though I don't know if this is the kind of book where you kind of read it in public. I don't know, just because I feel like getting out of the house. Ben also told me last night that apparently we're having a bunch of people over for New Year's. That sounds like a fun time, but it also means that my flat, which is currently a massive mess, needs to have some serious tidying done. So I think that's going to be my plan for today. So I'm going to stick my audiobook back on, get into the tidying, and I will update you with more thoughts on King of Battle and Blood in a little bit. Please excuse the fact that I look a little bit like a mess right now. In preparation for the fact that we're hosting New Year's Eve at our house tomorrow, Ben and I just went across to Greenwich to do a bit of shopping, get some snacks, wine, all that sort of thing. Didn't end up going to Waterstones for the sort of chill coffee thing, but we did do a little bit of strolling around the markets, had some amazing pasty sort of, no, they're not pasties, they're empanadas. So good. There's this Chilean beef and olive one, which is just to die for. Though I'm still impartial to the spicy chicken and chorizo one, but anyway, none of that is important. I've just done like a mad clean of the house, so I'm feeling a little bit warm right now, but I came in here to update you on King of Battle and Blood, which, don't get me wrong, it's a bit of a warm book too. This book is, I think, to the point that I'm up to now, it's still been like a good 70% spice, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but it just means that I'm not really getting to know the characters. I'm not really getting to know the relationship development and the dynamic between the two main characters, Adrian and Isolde, other than the fact that they are intensely attracted to each other. So the standard sort of things in fantasy where you know, come from one kingdom, enemies to lovers, you learn that maybe your kingdom isn't the best thing out there. There is a little bit of found family stuff going on, but again, again, we're not getting much time with the side characters, so you get these like light-hearted moments, but they're only like a couple, maybe like a page or two in length. It's just 99% lost at the moment, which kind of makes sense considering both of the characters are very open with that side of their life and all that sort of thing, but it's just, there's no relationship here. I'm still enjoying it, don't get me wrong. It's just a fun, easy read. It's something you can absolutely fly through, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm halfway through it now. Really flying through this one. I'm listening to the audiobook as I read, but it's nothing to call home about or anything. I'm just gonna crack straight back into reading because I don't have any plans really for the rest of the day other than to continue tidying up the flat and light some candles, get some nice smells going, and yeah, that's really it. Nothing very interesting. So the next time you see me will probably just be when I've finished this here book, unless something outrageous happens that I feel like I need to update you about, which seems like a totally likely thing to happen in this story. Welcome to the end of the vlog, and apologies again for the continuous strange lighting. I have a light literally right behind the camera right now because that's the only lighting in this room because it's London, 4 p.m, which means it's almost pitch black outside. So you might kind of be wondering, why are we at the end of the vlog when you haven't given the final update for King of Battle and Blood and you haven't even given one update for Queen of Myth and Monsters yet? And that is because I kind of sped my way through both of these books because I really wanted to get them both finished before the end of the year. It's officially the 31st of December today, and Ben and I have got a few friends coming over for New Year's Eve, so I knew I wouldn't get a chance to finish these tonight, so I needed to get through both of them today. So I sped through and I didn't film any updates, and I'm kind of glad I did because at the end of the day, my thoughts about the books are pretty much the same across both of them. Everything I said about this one in my previous update still applies. I think the relationship is very much led by lust more so than any actual romance. There's no romantic connection, I think, between the two main characters, Isolde and Adrian. You get really very little time with any of the side characters. The world building is, yes, there, but it's minimal to the point where when things escalate and get bigger in this book, it's more confusing and convoluted than it is exciting and expansive. And that whole issue with relationship development continues in this book very much so as well, because whilst in this book you kind of don't see them as anything more than really lusting after each other, in this book you really don't understand why they're together at all because they seem to hate each other when they're not having sex. I think there was a lot of magic development that was attempted in this book, but again, there was no real backstory behind any of it. A lot of the relationship development in this book relied on a past between the two main characters that was kind of uncovered in this first book, but again, not really delved into. There is a running theme in both of these books where things are attempted, but then not really fleshed out, which means that the big dramatic moments and the tension and even the like sexier moments in these books, I'm just not invested because I don't care about the characters because they haven't been built. They don't feel like real people. In this book especially, they also get really, really immature and slapping each other, hitting each other, running away, slamming doors, all that sort of thing. I'm like, guys, you're grown adults, grow up, please. But anyway, both of these books get 2 stars from me. I think they're okay. They're definitely smutty reads. I wouldn't call them particularly sexy because you don't really get invested, but the smut's definitely there. And that is how this vlog is going to end. So unfortunately not the greatest vlog in terms of quality of the books that I've been reading, but hey ho, it is New Year's Eve and hopefully tonight's quality is gonna be way, way better than these 2 books. I'm sure it'll be a ton of fun. So we've got a few friends coming over in a few minutes, so I'm going to log off now. So come and chat to me in the comments down below and let me know what you guys are reading at the moment, loving it, hating it, or if you've read either of these books and whether you agree with me or any of the other books that I've mentioned in this vlog. Do let me know in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell all down below. It's a super, super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!